Hello student. Today we are going to learn about the concept of using div in a layout. So it is to be very certain that without knowing how to implement div, it is not possible to prepare a website. So it is very important for everybody to attend this class. So what is div? Div is basically a container that contain other HTML elements. So we already have learned about different HTML elements that we can use in our web pages. So div is a container that will contain those HTML element, right? And div is also used to create division in the website. And without knowing the concept of div, it is certainly impossible to design a proper website. So in this class today we are going to learn the concept of using a div as a container to design a web layout. So let us start. So first I will write the HTML root tag. So pay attention, because this is the most vital class. Unless you will be master of using the div concept, you will be never in a position to design proper attractive websites. So this class is very important for you. So we are getting the head now, and inside the head we will have the title, as we do always. So inside the title let us write division using div, right? So now let us have the body. So inside the body we will have the div. So today basically we will only deal with the div section, right? Only we will be working with the div, right? So see, so as I told you, div is basically a container. So how to write the div tag? So div, this is the div opening tag and this is the div closing tag. So as same as we have used other HTML tag, we are going to implement the concept of div in same way. So div certainly has the opening tag and also the closing tag. So now how does this div which we have just now created looks like? So let us see how does this div which we have created inside the body section looks like, right? Let us see. So you can see this is the file. If I go and refresh the browser, we can only see the title that I have given, division using div, but the body is empty, so nothing is visible in the browser. But still we have written this div opening tag and div closing tag. So let me add some more information about the div, right? Div does not have any color, right? Div does not have any shape, right? So as I told you, div is just a container, right? So div is never going to visible unless you apply its height, width, color, border, or unless you add certain elements inside the div. I told you div is a container, so div includes the element. So div will take the size of the elements that you keep inside the div. So you can compare the div with the plastic poly packets that you carry in your market, or that you carry in the marketplace to have all the item inside it. So just try to imagine, does that poly packet which you do carry, does it have any shape or size? Only it's just a plastic. You can see it's just a plastic that you can touch, right? But it just does not have any shape. So it takes the shape of all the item that you keep inside the poly packet. Same as that, div will inherit the shape, height, width of the thing that you will keep inside the container, right? So you can also do another thing. You can give width and height for the div element using the CSS. So I will show you by applying CSS how can you give width and height for the div. So as you in the poly packet, if you blow air inside the poly packet, so it will take some shape, right? Because you have kept the air inside the div, right? So in same way you can also determine the width, height, color of the div. Then this div will be visible to the designer, or you can say that will be visible in the browser, right? So let us start. So inside the head I will write style opening tag, style closing tag, because I am going to implement the internal CSS, okay, for this div, to write the CSS property for this div. As I told you, this is just a container. So let me show you something over here. So to address this div, here I will just write div, right? So I am using element type selector to indicate or to address this div, right? I am using the element type selector, right? So first thing I will do, I will draw the border for the div. So let me draw a border. See, border 1px solid black. So I have just drawn a border, okay? This border will have 1px solid black. So let me see how it appears now. So can you see a line, a horizontal line that appeared in the browser right at the top, right? So can you see the height of the line? The height of the line is just 2px. The height of the line is just 2px. So what is the width of the line? The width of the line is full screen, right? That means the width has been occupied as per the width of the media, right? If I have a shorter media, the width will be this much. If I had a wider media, the width will be this much. That means the width is full 100% on the respect of the media size, right? And what is the height? Height is just 2px. That means div does not have any height. So it just shows the height of the border. So I have drawn the border, right? 1px border. That means in all the side it will have the border of 1px. So if I calculate the border thickness 1px top, and if I add border thickness of 1px bottom, in total that is 2px thickness. So you can see it appears like a line of 2px thickness because it's just an empty div. I have not kept anything, any element yet inside this div, right? Now I will do one thing. Inside the div, as I told you, div is just a container. I can keep the element inside this particular div which we have just now created. So let me keep a element. Let's say I will now take a heading. So you can see I just have written h1 heading, right? So let me write here, this is the heading tag, right? So I have written this is the heading tag. So now let me see. So you can see div as a container, I have kept a heading here. So if I go and check it out, can you see? Now div has a height. Why? I told you div is a container. So the container will take the shape, the height. It will take the height of the element that you are going to keep inside it. So now at present I have kept this h1 heading inside this div. So that is why this div has taken the size of this h1 heading. So if I do keep another heading, so I will now copy and make it h2. So now I will keep this h2 heading. Let me see. You can see the height of the div has increased, right? Now there is 2 elements, so as long as you are going to put element inside the div, the height will increase, right? So but you can notice, let me keep a image, right? Let me first keep a image. I can also keep image, I can keep anything, I can keep video, iframe, all element, each and every element can be kept inside the div. So div is the important thing that you need to understand, because by using this div you can create the division in your web page, right? That we are going to understand today in this session, right? So first I will add an image, right? So let us add an image. You can see, so let me first download the image here from the internet. I will download a cartoon image, cartoon Tom and Jerry image. Let me download, right? So okay, so I have an image over here, so I will download the image. I will keep it inside the desktop only, right? Here I will name cartoon. So I have saved the image in the desktop. So now I have to just locate with the location track here. SRC will search the image. So this particular image has been kept in the desktop only. So let me find the image. So this is the image, right? So now I have located the image. Image is kept in the desktop. I did not require to separately write the folder name, because there are no such folder. I have just saved this image inside the desktop, right? So let me show you. I have big image, so you can see the height of the div, it has taken this much. So if I do one thing, if I just reduce the size of this image by writing width, let's say 400, you can see the size of this image will be reduced, and automatically you can see the size, that is the height of the div, that has also reduced. Height of the div has also reduced. So one thing is that you can see that the width is still 100% by default. So the width of the div will be 100% on the respect of the size of the media from which the page has been accessed. So the width will be always 100%, but that we can reduce. So how to reduce the width? If I write width equal to 600, will it work? This may not work. This may not work. Let me show you. See, I told you this may not work, because we can manipulate the div by using CSS. So here I will write, see, width 600px. So here I have to write using the CSS, right? Border 1px solid black, width 600. Previously by default the width was 100% on the respect of skin size. Okay, now I have shortened the width of the div, because I have applied the width of the div that should be not more than 600px, that the width of the div should be exactly 600px. Let me now show you how it appears. You can see the div that I have created having the width of 600px. So the height of the div will be the height of all the elements. Okay, you can see. So if I again do one thing, if I delete all the elements from here, you can see the height will reduced, and width, that is 600px, because I have already precised the width will be 600px, right? So I hope you have understood how this div will take the size and shape of the elements, of each and every elements that you are going to keep inside the div, right? So let me show you how you can precise specific height and width for the div, right? So now I will do one thing here. I will write height. Let me give a height. I will give, let's say 1/5 or 160 px. See, so I have given height, right? As I have given width, I can also apply height. So width and height that has been given for the div. Now let me increase the width. Let's say it will be 1000 px. So you can see 1000 px. Now I want to bring this div right at the center. So just do one thing. I will write center opening tag, center closing tag. If I do show, you can see now this div will be aligned right at the center. Center opening tag, center closing tag, and this div will align right at the center. Okay, so now see, I will have some more div. I will have some more div inside this one, right? So here inside this div I will put some more div, right? So if I do show, before that I have to change certain thing. So here I have used the element type selector, but as because I will have some more div, so that means whatever CSS property and value that I have declared over here, this CSS property and value will be inherited by each and every div. I don't want that to be happen, right? I want this CSS property should be aligned only to this div. So for that I have to use the ID selector. Let me use the ID selector. So I will add here ID equal to header. ID equal to header. Now here I will write hash, because hash represent the ID selector, and header. So now this CSS property and value which I have declared, okay, under the declaration of second bracket, this is only for this div and not for all the divs that I am going to create now, right? So now let me create another div. So I am creating a nested div. That means div inside another div. So in the previous classes we have learned how to create nested order list, nested unordered list, nested table, nested iframe. Now we are going to implement the formation of nested division, that is nested div. So a div can contain more than one div, right? There are no restriction that how many div you can keep inside a single div. There are no such restriction. So as per the requirement arises, you can keep number of div inside a single div, right? So let me do it. So now again I will write here ID. So I have to write CSS separately for this div. That is why I will use the ID selector again, but I can't use this name. As I told you, ID will represent uniquely to a specific HTML element, right? So I will use the ID selector, but I can't use this name. This name already has been declared once for this particular div, right? Now for the inside div I will use a separate name. Let me use the name as menu. Menu will be the name. So let me write here menu, right? So now let us see, inside the menu, the first thing I need to do, I will create a border. So you can see I have copied border, width and height and paste it over here. Now I will reduce the border width to how much? Let me reduce the border width to 10 px. So I will write here 990, right? So I have reduced to 10 px, right? And the height, that will also be reduced to 10 px, right? So 10 px I have reduced from both width and height. Now how will it appear? So it is quite certain that it will appear 10 px smaller that to be compared with the outer div, right? So let me see how it appears in the browser. So can you see? This is how it appears in the browser. So now if I reduce the height further, let's say if I make it 100 px, then you can see it will appear shorter, right? Now I will add margin. See, margin top, how much? 5 px. So I have applied margin from the top, that is 5 px. So let me show you. Can you see 5 px margin? But one thing you must have noticed, that this div appeared right at the center, right? That is horizontal center. So at the left and right I have certain margin, but I have not applied the left margin, right? And not also the right margin, but still it appeared right at the center. Why? Because for the center tag. So if I do one thing, if I remove the center tag, that time you will see, you can see now. So you can see now this div has started, that is the inner div, has started right from the margin. Okay, so if I now write here margin left of 5 px, then it will come at the center, right? So you can see margin left of 5 px, it should not be 5 px, it will be 4 px. Okay, then it will come at the center. I will explain it to you why I have taken 4 px. See, can you see the difference? So let me show you. The width of the outer div, this is the width of the outer div, that is 1000 px. The width of the inside div, that is 990 px. That means 10 px, that is the difference from this header div width and menu div width. The difference is of 10 px. So if I take margin of 5 px this side, margin of 5 px this side, that time it should have appeared right at the center, but that doesn't happen. So if I give margin left of 5 px, you can see after having margin left of 5 px, so at the right 3 px is left. Why? Where are other 2 px? Where are other 2 px? So 2 px has been occupied by the border of the menu div. Okay, it has border, 1 px at the left side, 1 px at the right side, 1 px at top, 1 px at bottom. So left and right side 1 px, that has added with this width. So for that, either I have to write here 4 px, so that I told you 2 px border plus 990, that is 992 px. Only 8 px is left, not 10 px, 8 px that is left. So I can have 4 px here, 4 px I can leave at the left side. If I leave 4 px at the left side, then automatically the 4 px will be available at the right side, for the right side, right? So another thing I can do, if I make it 5 px, because top margin I have taken 5 px, so if I keep 5 px at the left, it will be good, it will look good. So for that I have to make it 988, because 988 plus 1 px 2 px border, it makes 990 px, right? Then this margin will be okay, it will have proper alignment. Can you see now? So now if I had to push this right at the center, how to do that? So here in the header I can give margin in the outer header, so I will apply margin left. Let's say margin left will be 200 px. If I give margin left 200 px, you can see it has pushed So let me reduce the margin. I have given more margin if I have 160 px of margin. So this is how it will look. It will appear at the center. Still I have to push further. If I make it 170, I think then it will appear at the center. See, margin left 170 px. I have applied the margin at the header, that means the outer div, right? See, now it appears right at the center. So fine, this is the topper div. So one div, and inside the header div I have another div, right? So now below this div I will create another div. So inside the header div I will have two separate div, right? One after the another. Let me show you. So div opening, div closing. Let me write the ID selector. I will use the ID selector. Let me name here as, I will name it as menu 2, right? Menu 2. So here I will write the CSS. I will call the ID selector, that is MENU 2. Now I will write the CSS for second div, right? Let me show you. So width, how much I will take width? Width will be, let's say, 988, same as this one, 988 px, right? And I will take margin top. I will take margin top, right? I will take margin top. How much? Let's say 5 px. Margin top I have taken 5 px. Let me also take margin left. Margin left, how much? 5 px, right? So I will keep a border. Let me keep a border here also, because unless I keep a border, this will not be visible. This will not be visible. I told you, either I should put a color or I should put a border. So let me put a border. So border 1 px. So I have given border to it. Let me show you. You can see a line appeared. Why? Because still I have not given height. So how much height I should apply? So I have to calculate before I write something over here. So let me show you how to do the calculation. So what is the height over here? That is 160 px. That is the height of the 160 px. That is the height of the outer div. That is the header div. That is the outer div. That is height. The outer div is having the height of 160 px, right? So how much height that has been taken by the menu div? You have to calculate the height that has been occupied by the menu div. Why? Because this menu div is placed inside the header div. That is why this menu div has occupied some height of the header div. And if I had to calculate the height for the menu to div, I have to deduct the height of the menu div from the header div. Okay, then only I can extract the height which is available, right? So how much height that has been allotted for the menu div? So 100 px. Not only the height, I also have to calculate this border, right? So top border 1 px, bottom border 1 px. That means 100 plus 2, that is 102 px. Total height of the menu div is 102 px. And not only 102 px, I have to also deduct the margin. The margin of, so let me write here. If I had to write, then it will be easy for you to understand. Let me write here using the notepad. So let me show you the calculation here. Here, show you. I will show you the calculation. See, total height, how much? 1000 px. 1000 px, right? Now menu height, how much? Height that I have applied for the menu, that was 988, right? 988. Now I have to add 2px, 2px, that is top margin 1px, bottom margin 1px. Now also I have to add, can you see my cursor? Margin that I have given 5px, 5px margin that I have given for the menu. You can see over here 5px margin, this 5px margin I have to deduct now. See, 5 plus, now let us see how much. See, the new div which I am creating, that is the menu 2 div. Here also I have given the margin top of 5px. So let me again add another 5px, that I have given margin top for the menu 2 div, right? Now how much is left? Let me calculate. 988 plus 2, that is 990. 990, how much? Total height was 160px, sorry, total height was 160px, right? Total height was 160px, and height that I have applied to the menu div, that was 100px, right? 100px, you can see 100px height. So I have wrongly written the width, not the width, height. Total height of the header, that is total height of the header, that was 160px, and the height of the menu was 100px. So a wrong figure that I have written over there. So let me correct it. So you can see 160px total height, that is the height of header div, right? So I have deducted the height of the menu div, 100px, right? 2px border, I will add height plus 2px, 102px, and then top margin of this top margin 5px, and again top margin for the new menu that I am creating, that also has to be deducted, right? This thing. Okay, now it will be total 112px, right? This much, right? How much I have to deduct? This much, right? That is 112px from 160px. So let me make it here 160 minus 112. How much is left? How much is left? So calculate out 48px is left, right? So now from this 48px, this will be the height including the border 2px. So if I had to write height, how much height can I give? How much? Say 48px? No, 46px. 46px. Why? 2px border top 1px, border bottom 1px, right? Because here I also need to add 2px, that is a border for this menu 2, right? Top border 1px, bottom border 1px. So this will be 114. So I have to deduct 114 from 160. It will be just 46. This much will be the available height, right? And still it will not work. I will show you now. If I show you in the browser, see, if I had to give margin here, without the margin it is not looking good enough. So if I had to give some margin here, then here again I have to deduct 5px that of margin, then it will be 41. So it will be, let's say, 41. So automatically some margin will be left at the bottom. Now it appears to be perfect, right? So you can see inside the header div I have added 2 extra div, right? So let me show you by making another div. So under this header div I will add another div. So here let me write div. So let me name this div as mid, right? I will name this div as mid. So I will write the CSS over here for mid, right? Now see here I will write width How much width? The width will be same as the header div. So 100,000 px, 1000 px, that will be the width, right? 1000 px, right? And height, so give height as per you need. I will give the height of 600 px. Okay, now unless I give the border, you can see without border that will be not visible because it does not have any color or border. So how will it be appearing, right? So now I have to put the border 1 px black. So now you can see it will appear. So this div I have created. So if I had to push div in the parallel of the header div, then I have to apply margin. How much margin do I give over here? See the margin that I have applied for the header div, that is margin left 170 px. Same margin I can apply over here. Same margin I can apply here in the mid section, right? Margin. So you can see margin left, that is of 170 px. So you can see after I have given margin left 170 px, you can see this div, that alignment of this mid div, and this appear to the parallel of the header div, right? So now you can see it appeared like a layout, right? So now if I want to keep some more div inside this div, how will I do so? Very simple. Inside this div I can create some more div. See, inside that div I can keep some more div. It is very simple. Let me keep a single div first, right? So let me show you. So I will write here, let's say id inner mid. So I have written inner inner mid. So this is a user defined id. So let me write the css here. So inner mid, right? Inner mid. So let me write the width. How much width? Width will be, let's say 988 px. 988 px. Why? I will tell you why. Border. So border, that will be black border I will give, right? And height, let me give a height of 300 px. Can you see? So 988 px width plus left 1 px border, right 1 px border, it will make it to 990 px width. It will make it to 990 px width, right? Let me show you. You can see this much space is left at the right. If I had to bring this div at the center of the mid div, how will I do that? Let us see. I will just give margin left how much? 5 px. Okay, 5 px margin. Why? The width is 988 plus 2 px border, 1 px left, 1 px right. It will make it 990. 990 minus 1000, that is the mid diff. Inside mid diff we have the inner mid diff, that means 1000 minus 990. How much is left? 10 px is left. If I give 5 px at the left side margin, automatically 5 px margin will left at the right side. Can you see? Now the inner mid diff appeared right at the center of the mid diff. Can you see now? If I push it downside, then I have to give margin, top margin of 5 px. If I give margin top 5px, it will push 5px margin from the top. Can you see? Right? I think you have understood. So now I will do one more thing. I will add 2 more div inside this inner mid div. Let me show you how to do so. See, inside this div I will add 2 more div. See, so here I will name as left mid, right? I will name here as left mid, right mid. So let me work with the CSS. You can see inside the inner mid div I am going to add 2 more div. One is left mid div, another is right mid div, and you can see this inner mid div has been placed inside the mid div, right? So let me write the CSS for the left mid. So here I will write the CSS for the left mid. So you can see I will write the CSS for the left mid div. So let me first write the width. Let's say the width will be 400px. Okay. Height will be 100%. So border will be, let's say, 1px solid black. Can you see what I have written over here? Width 40px, height 100%, and border 1px. So one thing I have written, height 100%. What does it mean? Let me show you. Can you see? This is the left div. Just see my cursor. 100% means it will occupy the height of 100% to its container. So just notice, for the left mid div, which is the container? Inner mid div, because we have placed the left mid div inside the inner mid div. So the left mid div, that will be the container for the inner mid div, right? Left mid div is a element that is kept inside the inner mid div. So inner mid div will be the container for the left mid div. Inner mid div will be the container for the left mid div and also for the right mid div, right? So if I write here height 100%, that means the left mid div will occupy the height of the inner mid div. It will occupy the full height, this much height of the inner mid div. So instead of writing 100%, I could have also written 300px. Why? Because the height of the inner mid div is 300px. If I had to give, or if I had to apply same height for the inside div, then I can just write 300px. Okay, it will occupy the same height. You can see no change, right? But I also need to consider the border height, right? This border height I have to deduct from this height, right? You can see 2px height extra added, right? 2px height extra added. So to make it fit, I can do one thing. I can reduce this 2px height, top margin, top border 1px, bottom border 1px. So I will make it 298px. Now you can see after I do this, just check, it will appear right at the vertical center. It will it will fit. It will fit. Now the div has fitted with the container, right? So this much space is left. So now I will write the CSS for this one, that is right mid div. So let me write the CSS for the right mid diff, right? So if I do one thing, let me copy this thing, let me paste it over here, right? So let me adjust the width. What is the width? Let me show you what is the width of this mid diff. What is the width of this inner mid? This inner mid. Let me find out the width of the inner mid. How much? 988, right? Let me write here. Width of inner mid equal to how much? 988, right? And width of left mid that I have kept inside this inner diff, how much? How much is the width of left mid? 400 px, right? 400 px, right? That is the width of left mid. Also I have to add 1 px border left, 1 px border right, total 2 px. So let me add 2 px, right? Now see here, I will write the width. So let me delete this one. I will write the width for the right mid, the available width. What is the available width that I had to calculate? So you can see 988 minus 402. Then how much is left? Calculate and let me know how much is left. The left is, let's say, 500, right? 586, right? 586, that is left, right? Now don't forget that right mid diff also have a border, that is left margin 1 px and right margin 1 px. Also we have to deduct 2 px for the border. Then how much will be left? 584. This much will be left. So this much is the available space that you can apply for width for the right mid diff, right? If I write here 584, 584. So this is the available space. But if I want to give a margin between two diff, that is a 5 px. If I want to add a margin of 5 px between the left side diff and the right side diff, is it possible? Yes, it is certainly possible, but we have to write the margin. Then margin left, right, 5 px. So there will be a margin of 5 px before right mid diff. Before the right mid diff, there will be a margin of 5 px. So you can see, let me add here, let me deduct another 5 px. How much? 579. Make it 579, right? So let me first check. Let me check out how it appears after adding all this thing. So can you see? Can you see we have created this diff, but notice this diff had not appeared here, right? This diff, this is the left mid diff, this is the right mid diff. The right mid diff which we have created, that this diff has not appeared just right side beside the left diff. Why? Because by default div is in block element, and the property suggested that in block element will never allow any other element to appear at its right side, right? That is why if I create div, that will never going to come side by side. If I had to bring two or more div side by side horizontal manner, in a horizontal way, then I have to change the CSS property of the div. So let me show you how to change the CSS property from the in block property to inline property. Now I will give instruction to the left div, that float left. So now I have given instruction to the left mid div that you should float at the left side, right? and allow other div to come in its position. Okay, allow other div to come in its position. You should float at the left side. Okay, don't stop other div to come at its position. See, so I have given instruction to this left side mid div. So let me refresh the browser. So after I have refreshed the browser, you can see that this is the mid div. Okay, and this is the right div. Okay, the right div appeared just behind the mid div. Why? I will tell you. So let me show you by adding the color over here. So if I add color, the background color, if I add here, let's say red, and I will also add the background color for the here right mid div. So background color I will make it, okay, to show you. Later I will delete the color. I will show you. See, this is the left side div. It has floated at the left. Okay, and now I have given this instruction that you should float left and allow other div to come at its position, right? So now it has given position to the right div, so the right div can come to the position, but right div has its property, that is in block property. So you can see, once the left div has allowed the right div to come at the position, it has taken the position, but from the beginning, from the left margin. Okay, because it has its property, that is in block property, because now this div will not allow, not ready to share its position. Okay, so this green div has also occupied the position of the left div. That is why it has just taken the position behind the inner div. Why behind the inner div? Because you can see I have written this thing, this right div in the second position after left div. Now also I have to give instruction to the right side mid div. So I will give instruction that float at the right side. Now I have given instruction to the right mid div that you should release the in block property. Now it's the time came where you have to release the in block property, and you need to float at the right side, position. Now after I have given the instruction, you can see the right div appeared at the right side, left div appeared at the left side. So now I will do one thing, I will remove the color. Okay, I don't need to show you the color now, this is just for understanding. I have added the color red and green. Now you can see this is how it look. So now you can see this has a darker border. This you can see this has a darker border. I will do one thing. So this is the inner mid div, this div, inner mid div. I will do one thing, inner mid div border I will make it transparent, right? That means it will have a border, but that border will be invisible. That border will not be shown in the browser, but it certainly has a border. Transparent means border will be transparent, as like a glass that is transparent. So glass is there, but we can see other side object of the glass. If any object are placed on the other side of the glass, that can be visible. We can see the object which are kept on the other side of the glass. Why? Because the glass is transparent. So the border of the inner mid div will be now the transparent. Let me show you. If I refresh the browser, we can see I have added the transparent border for the inner mid div, because that there is border, but that border is invisible. So you can see now how it looks. Now I will add another div here in the downside. To do that, what I need to do, let's see. So just below the inner div, inside the mid div, I will add another div, right? ID equal to, let's say, second mid. So I have written second mid. Okay, so inside the mid div we have two div, inner mid and second mid, right? And inside the inner mid we already had two div, left and right. So let me write the CSS for the second mid. So here I will write the CSS for the second mid. So let me write the CSS. Hash will indicate the ID selector second mid, right? So you can see. So let me add the height and width of the second mid. So I will do one thing, I will copy this thing. So I have copied all the CSS property and value of the inner mid. Why? Because you can see the inner mid width and margin, that will be same as this div, second div margin, right? Second div property, some property will be common, I will change something. So whatever I have written over here in the inner mid div value and CSS property and value, that thing I have copied over here in the second mid div. Now I will do the changes. So the width will be same, there will be margin top, there will be margin left, so that it will appear at the center. So at first I need to see the background color, I will write black. Why? Because I have to see the background, no, I have to see the border. Then without noticing the border, how will I understand that how much height, how much width it has taken? I need to understand, no, that is why I need to have the border. So border I have given black border. And now yes, so now you can see black border. And now I will do one thing, height we have to calculate. So again let us calculate height. So you can see height of the mid div, that was mid div height, how much? 600, right? 600, right? Now inner mid height, how much? Inner mid height, that was 300 px plus 2 px border, right? 1 px top, 1 px bottom, total 3. Let me write 300 plus 2 px border, right? So you can see how much is left. Now calculate how much is left. Let me show you how much is left. So let me show you 600 minus 302. If I write here 600 minus 302, how much? 298, right? So if I just write here, the height will be 298. Now let me see how it looks like. Can you see? Don't forget we have a margin top. So now also, so this is the height that I have given for the inner div, but you can see second div also has a margin, right? Inner div, there is also the top margin, right? So this top margin we have to deduct, top margin 5 px. So that means inner div height 300 px, 2 px border, top and bottom, and top margin 5 px. Okay, that means 5 px, how much? 307. If I deduct 307, how much is left? 293. And also now we have to deduct the margin 5 px that I have assigned for the second mid div. So let me now deduct another 5 px. Then how much will be left? 288. So let us add 288. Now let us see how it comes now. So you can see, okay, don't forget one thing, it has a border. You can see 2 px, you can see 2 px border has came down, because this second div also had a border. This 2 px we have to deduct, then deduct 2 px, right? How much is left? 286 px, that will be left. Then only it will be fit, right? So now if I make it 286 px, see, can you see it has got fit? Now if I want to add margin at the bottom, we can add 5px margin at the bottom. Just we have to reduce the height to further 5px. If I reduce the height to further 5px, this 5px margin will be left automatically, because the height will be short, this much margin will be left. You can see now. Let me make it 281, right? 281. So if I add 281 here, you can see it will now be exact. See, have you understood the calculation? Now see, inside this div, I want to add some more div. Let's say I will add 1, 2, 3 div. I want to add 3 div inside this second div. Is that possible? Certainly possible. Certainly this is possible. Inside this div I will add 3 div. Okay, 3 div, but this 3 div will have equal height and equal width. Is that possible? That is also possible, right? So now instead of using ID selector, let me use the class selector. Why I will use the class selector? Because these 3 div I will categorize under a class. We know that to address a group of object or a group of element, we can use the class selector, because once I will retain the CSS property and value inside the class selector, and a single class selector can actually address to a group of element. So I will put this 3 div under a single class. So let me take a class selector. So let me write here division. So I have named this class selector as division. So you can see I have named this class selector division. So let me write the CSS for the division over here. So you know that how to address the class selector by dot will refer that this is a class selector division, right? So let me copy this thing, because so I don't want to add top margin and bottom margin, right? So I will delete the top margin, right? I am writing the CSS for the division class, right? So these are the CSS property and value. Let me modify and change. So left margin will be 5px. How much will be the width? That we have to calculate. How much is the height? That also we need to calculate. Two things we have to calculate: width and height. So width and height, that will be we are calculating now, right? Width and height. So let's see how much width and how much height we will put over here. So let's see. I will write here 100%. I already have told you that we can simply write 100%, right? We can simply write 100% as the height. Okay, that means it will take the height of the second div. That means it will take the height of this much, 281px, or simply I can write here as 281px. Instead of writing 100%, I can simply write here how much? 281px. Okay, then it will take full height, right? It will take full height, right? Now don't forget that you have this border, so it's better you write here 279, right? 279px. That means we have deducted the height of the border. This is top border 1px, bottom border 1px. So that we have deducted, because the outside div, that is second mid div, this one second mid div, this is the outside div, it has the height of 281px. Second mid div, this div, second mid div has the height of 281px, right? So division div, that is which I have kept inside division div, this div will be having the height of how much? 279 plus 2px border. Total it will be take the height of, it will automatically take the height of this much, 2821px, second div height, right? Now let us decide how much width. How much width? I told you there will be 3 div. There will be 3 div. No, we have created 3 div. All 3 div will have equal space of width, equal amount of width. Then first we have to calculate how much width we have over here for the second mid div. This much, 988. So 988, if I divide 988 by 3, how much will be the value? Let me have a calculator. So let us have a calculator. Let me calculate. 988 divide by 3. We are going to have 3 div of equal width. So each div will have 329.33. This much width, this much px of width, right? And don't forget, each and every div will have a border of 2px, right? A border left that is of 1px, border right of 1px, total 2px border. So you also have to deduct 2px from this. So if I deduct 2px now, minus 2, this will be the height, 327.33, right? And if I add margin left, each division will have a margin at the left side, that is a 5px. So you also have to deduct the margin. So you can see, let me deduct 5px margin minus 5. This will be the result, 322.33, this much. So I just have to write, which will be 322.33, this much px of width, right? Let me show you. Can you see? These are the 3 divs. As I already told you, by default div has the property that is in block property, and because of that in block property, the div will never allow its position to be shared by other element, right? So I have to change the CSS property from in block to inline. So I have to give instruction. Instruction has to be given to the division that let share the single horizontal line and let allow other element to share its position. Other element must be shared its position. So I have to give instruction. So let me write here, float left. So now I have given the instruction to the division that change your property from in block to inline. Now you can see, after I have given the instruction, you can see all the div came one after another in line. Can you see? But one thing is that we have extra space taken over here. If I had to remove this space, so I can do one thing. So let me show you, this extra space has been taken, right? So if I do one thing, that now I told you that inline CSS has more priority than the internal CSS. So this is internal CSS, right? And if I write inline CSS specifically for this div, this will be more prioritized. So for the first div, I will write a single line of inline CSS, style, right? So if I write here margin left 0px, margin left 0px. So this inline CSS that I have written for the first division only, right? For the first div I have written inline CSS. So margin left 0px. This margin left 0px, that will overwrite the division this margin. So in the internal CSS I have given margin left of 5px. This margin will be applicable for all, but once I have given inline CSS, this will work first. You can see now the margin for this particular div will be removed. These two div will have margin, but margin for this div, that will be removed. Let me show you. So you can see some margin is available over here. If I go and refresh it, you can see the margin has been removed, right? But you can see after I have removed the margin, we automatically have shortened the space. So this much space is allotted more, right? This much space is allotted more. So one thing I can do, I can add that space to all 3 div. That is how much space? 5px. So let me again take a calculator over here. Let me take a calculator. So let me add. If I divide 5 by 3, 5px we have extra space, no? 5px of margin that was extra, that 5px of margin divided by 3, that will be added to the width. So 1.66. So let me add 1.66. So if I add 1.66 extra space to the width, 1.66, how much? Let me add 1 here, 1. That means it will be 3, and if I add 66, it will be how much? 99, right? 99. Or it's better if I make it 324, round figure. Now see. So you can see now how it appears, right? So we can see that second div border have been precised. So I can also do one thing, I can delete the second div border here. So if I will not delete the second div border, I will make it transparent, because I did not require to show the user now. Okay, I have prepared the layout, so I need not require to show the second div border with this precise color now. So I will just make it transparent. It will be there, but it will not be visible, right? So let me do it. We can see now it is the layout which we have prepared. It is just the concept of div which we have done today. It's just working with div. Using the div, we have to prepare the division inside the layout. This is how we have to manipulate with the div to prepare a website. Without understanding the concept of working and playing with the div, we can never prepare a proper website. So I hope you have learned something from today's lecture, and if you have not subscribed this channel yet, you need to subscribe this channel, because I will come up with some very good lecture. I will show you how to make very good looking websites, different kind of thing I will show you in the very next video. So thank you for being patient and watching till the end, and if you like this video, do not forget to click the like button and share this video with your friend.